Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top here.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
The third event in the racingsims.co.nz V8 SCOPS support series. The second time we're seeing the legacy version of the V8 out on circuit here at Sebring. And we bring it to you live on SimSpeed TV. It's round 3 of the Racing Sims V8 SCOPS support series. My name is Jay Kennedy. Alongside me, Cameron Dance. Cam, we saw at round 1, it was very, very entertaining. Lots of really cool battles. And I think this track here is a little bit of an equaliser. We're going to see a very mixed up field from what we saw in round 1.
Yes, certainly. It's a completely different track to what we saw at Montreal, with where you had long straights, big curbs, tight chicanes. It's a little bit more flowing and a little bit more technical, this track. So looking forward to seeing what the racing is going to be like tonight, and who's going to possibly come out on top. It's a very, very mixed up field, like you said, in qualifying at the moment. There's a few people that we normally see possibly up the front of the field, possibly a little bit out of place, but nevertheless, it's looking like it's going to be a very, very nice, clean race.
Yeah, fingers crossed we see it nice and clean at the, well, throughout the field. We've got, I think, 16 cars that will be taking to the circuit for tonight's racing action. So at the moment, we see the car of Gavin Cox for MFR on the current provisional pole position. Still plenty of time left in qualifying though. 12 odd minutes left. Of course, this Sebring circuit, no stranger to these cars, and no stranger to a lot of the drivers out there, but running the legacy car around this track is probably something not a lot of drivers have done over the last little while.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of a long time since a lot of these drivers will have done this sort of combo with these old legacy V8s now, with it being quite some time since we've actually had these things driving in a competitive environment. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody is able to use their prior experience from when we were last here quite some time ago, and who's possibly going to be able to shake the field up as it's coming out of the woodwork. Yeah,
exactly right. And a few drivers are very, very happy that we're running the legacy cars, and some that are undecided, but majority have found that this car is now behaving a little bit better than what it once did. drivers currently out there in qualifying. No stranger to these cars is this man on screen. This is Henry King out there for the Zuva Racing ANZ Motorsport car. He's currently on a flying lap. His best lap at the moment is P5, a 2-minute 1.1. And this lap that he's on right now looks pretty good on the timing sheets.
Yeah, it certainly does look like it's quite a good lap, and I must say that livery does actually look quite good, but it's metallic green as well, some very, very nice bright metallic green too, so it looks very much is the piece, with the fact that he's probably going to go quicker on this lap as well. We'll see what he does as he comes down towards the start finish line, crosses the line, and no representative lap time set there, so off track or something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking he may have checked up in that middle sector and he's going to go for another lap, but we will go to Gavin Cox because he is the current fastest driver out there, and we'll see what he can do on this lap. Of course, racing for Middle Finger Racing, MFR. Put out some absolutely beautiful cars for this season for 2021 with the Liqui Moly sponsorship on those cars. They look absolutely beautiful out there on track.
Yeah, they're a little bit different to what we've typically seen from MFR over the past few years with the typical WP concreting cars, and usually all sorts of weird and wacky different colours, from purples to pinks to yellows and all that sort of stuff. So it's very much a change to the livery department for these guys, and the Liqui Moly is certainly making a stand-up performance in the livery department and very much looking the piece as well, with it being so much different and something a little bit normal, I guess you could say.
It has been one of the things I've actually really liked about the MFR cars of past was the bizarre colour combinations that was very, very out there and very, very different to everyone else. The man on screen that has been very, very disappointed with his current pace at the moment is basically calling himself a backmarker tonight. Simon Mazzomo. He always underrates his ability, but tonight he's doing it even more than what we would expect.
Oh, don't talk about too much, Jay. You'll hear us.
Look, he is listening, so he might cause him to crash if we keep this up.
Yeah, he's certainly a little bit off the pace, and he has specifically said that he seems to be struggling a little bit this week. So we'll see what he does in qualifying, where he ends up in the race as well. Hopefully, he does a little bit better than 15th in the end, but we'll have to see what happens. A little bit of a lock-up on the way to the back end of the circuit, but nevertheless, we'll see what he does when he comes through. This man on screen, it's looking like it's going to be a reasonably good lap time from Brett O'Keefe as well. Yet set a representative has done a lap time so far, currently seeing P4, so we'll see if he can improve on this lap, and quite a little bit of a lock-up as well on the way through the final corner, but comes out of the final corner quite nicely and comes across the line to SIX. A 2-minute 0.96 turn, put himself into P3.
Yep, so jumps ahead of Matthew Pluck on that lap there, so into P3 as you said. Yeah, almost thought about pulling it over there, and of course the no escape rule, the one rule that everyone that has ever sat foot in V8SCOPS, in whether as a spectator or as a driver, is one that can catch a lot of people out. The no escape rule basically means, as real life, when you finish a lap, you can't pull over and escape like you would because it's a sim. You have to drive back to the pits and do it like it's real life, as Brett Hender just moved up into 6th. It's caught myself out. I know it's caught, I'm pretty sure it's caught you out at some point, Cam. There wouldn't be many drivers in the field that hasn't been caught out by the no escape rule, just because it's so natural as a sim racer to just pull it over and take it back to the pits with the escape button.
Yeah, I haven't been caught specifically in SCOPS, but I've been caught in other series with no escape rules. So, yeah, it's certainly one of those rules that you don't really actually think about in the heat of the moment until you actually realize that, oh, I'm actually screwed now because I've towed and now I can't go back out. So it's certainly one of those rules that does add to the realism. It does certainly shake it up a bit in the fact that you've actually got to take care of the car, not only to make sure you don't get damaged, but also make sure that you have enough fuel in the car to get home as well. So you've really just got to make sure that you're putting in some nice, clean, consistent laps and making sure that you're not damaging the car as well. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a little bit of strife if you have to drive 45 degrees to the track, crawling back.
Just saw Aaron Gilbert in the 03 Jinx Shifter car move up into position number 2, so And Henry King just goes to third. So this lap from Anderson, though, does look pretty decent. Personal best the first couple of sectors, and the final sector, well, I'll tell you what, it was good enough. He's gone P1. That caught me by surprise at the end.
Yeah, very nice lap from James there to put himself straight to the top of the timesheets. Not by a lot, though, over Gavin Cox, though. So it's still within reach is that pole time for Gavin Cox, and probably for Aaron Gilbert as well if he can set the lap up. So it's probably not one and done just yet for Anderson, but we'll see if anybody else can try and put themselves ahead and onto the front row as well.
Shout out to the boys in race control. Actually, just got told that there's only one person in race control at the moment. So Ben Christensen and Brett Loxton in race control for tonight's proceedings. So no strangers to racing in these races and these sort of events. So these guys will definitely make sure that it's kept very, very clean and won't be scared to hand out a penalty or three, because we've seen in previous races in V8SCOPS in the first 2 rounds of support series, been a lot of action, a lot of controversy. So penalties definitely getting handed out, but I'll tell you what, there's been some tough calls to be made from race control. I'd much prefer to be sitting on this side of it than sitting in the race control booth, because it hasn't been a fun time for those guys.
Yeah, I think if there's one stressful job outside of driving the race car, it's probably being the guys in race control, that's for sure, with some of the decisions you sometimes have to make in situations that you'd normally think you'd hand a penalty up, but may actually have to take about 5 looks at to come to an actual agreement. So certainly props to them for putting their hand up to do what they do every single time out. But that's Anthony Green coming through onto the back straight, and it's looked like it's been all right lap from so far. Not too bad of a run onto the back straight this time by currently sitting in P14, so a little bit down the order as far as lap time goes, but we'll see what he can do this time by screaming towards the final corner, hard on the brake pedal, coming into the final corner, making sure not to lock that inside front or get the rear unstable, but it's decided to back it up and pull it into the pits to probably put a new set of tyres on.
Yep, you'll get one more crack at it. The driver that I have seen on the timing screen looks like he is having that crack right now. Aaron Gilbert for Henry James Racing, and just on cue, slams on the brakes to back it out, but the first 2 sectors on this lap that he's on, actually, from my timing, it's saying that this is his 4th lap. Is that what you're seeing too, Cam? Are you seeing something similar? I think he's out of fuel.
Yeah, I think he's out of. Yeah, it sounds like he's out of fuel because he was struggling to move along there. So I think his session is over and done with.
So he just decided, oops, I haven't made it into the pit, so I might as well just go for it in the first 2 sectors. Well, he did, but not really going to help him. Is Mark Dial on a flying lap at the moment? No, he's not. He's about to start a flying lap. Who else can we find that is on a flyer at the moment? Simon Valla is on a flying lap. We'll go to him. As right on cue, he's just looped it around. The car got a fair bit of love last round.
Yeah, cool. Certainly.
Excuse me.
Certainly did get a little bit of love, and also it certainly get a little bit of love from a certain person I know with the branding on the side of the car.
I think we're thinking the exact same person. As hello to Richard Hampstead if you are watching. Nathan Tregarthen. This is a livery that I was surprised when I went through the liveries earlier in the week. He's repping the legitimate privateer livery. There's nothing on it. It's grey.
Yeah, certainly a little bit stock standard, straight out of the workshop with no stickers, no time to go to the sign writer. So it's something a little bit different. But I guess the only other way of making it plain and straight out of the showroom floor is if it were carbon wrapped.
Yeah, even then it's probably still just the matte silver finish on it when it's literally just pieces of silver. So Tom O'Connor on screen though is on a flyer right now. This is his 2nd lap in this run, so this is his proper timed lap. He will have another lap if he needs it, but whether the tyre life is there at the end of that lap is going to be the interesting thing. Current best time of a 2:01.3, so he can gain a few spots if he finds just a 10th. Doesn't need a little bit to get himself into the top 5, but he could get himself into the top 7 very, very easily. He just needs 2 tenths to get himself into 7th position.
Yeah, and a little bit wide on the way through the final corner as well, so that's probably not going to help him too much when it comes across the line. It's a 2:01.619, so 3/10 exactly off his quickest time so far, so no improvement there, and he'll stay in ninth place. He'll finish this lap though and get one, well, this will be his last lap at least before he's going to see the checkered flag when he comes to the line this time by Henry King, trying to get squeeze one more out as well this time around as he comes down towards the hairpin. Gavin Cox also trying to get another lap, and he's probably going to miss out on an extra lap here, but we'll see what he can do on the lap time sheet this time by.
This lap does look good though. Purple and green sectors on this lap. So purple being session best. That's a big lock up. The new smoke features that have been added to iRacing the last few weeks in full effect there. And a few green sectors, so personal best sectors as well. Personal best third sector and fifth sector. This lap, going by that, you would say should be an improvement.
Yeah, you'd have to think it. Well, you'd hope it would be an improvement, but he did run a little bit wide onto the back straight, so I do wonder if that's maybe hurt his lap time a bit. But we'll see what happens when he comes across the line this time by out of the final corner, getting all squirrely over the bumps in the process as well. Comes across the line, and it's going to be a 2:01.174, so no improvement there, and unfortunately not going to be on pole, but will be starting in second for the time being at least.
He has got across the line with time to do another lap, so we could see him pull a surprise out right at the end. Henry King is on his last run and has personal best sectors in sectors 4, 5 and 6. So sector 7 here through the final corner at Sunset Bend. Right, that's going to be very, very tough come the end of the last race, because they are going to be literally looking into the sunset. King crosses the line, and that is not a personal best. He misses out by 1/10 of a second, so the best he will start is in 4th position. Tom O'Connor is about to come across the line. He will not get another lap in. Mazzomo did move himself up into 10th when we took our cameras away from focus on him, so he has found some time, and he's going again for another lap. This doesn't look like it will be an improvement though. He's just using it as pit entry practice. Who else have we got? Nathan Tregarthen also in the pits. Did hear that there's another car out on track, but who exactly was that? Looks like it might have been Mark Dial who just crossed the line. And that lap was a personal best. No improvement? No. Yes.
Yeah, no improvement.
Yeah.
Anthony Green's come across the line though and has done a personal best, but is only going to be in 14th by the looks of it.
So not enough, and I believe our last driver, we said that Gavin Cox was going to be able to cross the line if he wanted to. Because the session has gone checkered, I can't see sector best time, so we're absolutely going blind here. This could be interesting to see if he's going to improve it. I'll tell you what, he's going for it, so he could be on for another good lap here. This will be coming from absolutely nowhere. Improves on the last lap, but not enough to gain any spots. And the best he will start is in P2. And that, to me, looks like everybody is done. It's time to have a look at the starting grid for the second race, the second round in the V8 support series. Third round in Racing Sims V8SCOPS supports. And James Anderson will start from pole with Gavin Cox alongside. Third position will go to Aaron Gilbert with Henry King in P4. Brett O'Keefe in P5. Matthew Pluck will start from position number 6. Then we've got Reese Harnell, Brett Hender, Tom O'Connor, Simon Mazzomo, Simon Vella, Corey Kitchen. And the last 2 rows of the grid will be Mark Dial, Anthony Green, Nathan Tregarthen, and John Courtney. We do have Nick Scrayev, who decided to drop out at the last moment. He's decided to just go and do a little bit more practice for the trucks. Wasn't feeling confident. And if you're not feeling confident, it's not necessarily a bad move to do that as well.
Yeah, certainly no point making an embarrassment of yourself to just be out there. So not too bad of a decision by Nick, and we'll hopefully see him back out there for the trucks and see what he can do in those things.
So 100 kilometers ahead for the drivers. 2 races of 17 laps ahead. Race 2 will be a reverse grid race with every driver on the lead lap reversed in order. So staying on the lead lap is just as crucial as getting yourself to the finish in this one. Thoughts on how this is going to play out though, Cam? It's going to be an interesting battle at the front. That battle in the mid-pack is going to be very, very interesting as well.
Yeah, it's going to be very hotly contested all throughout the field, really. So we'll have to see what happens, and it's probably going to come down to who's going to be able to look after their tyres the best, and who's going to be able to handle the horsepower, really.
Track temp is fairly cool. It's only 21 degrees out there for the drivers. Wind reasonable. Morning conditions, so should expect to see... Actually thought we were starting in the afternoon from my original report I got, so there goes my theory of driving into the sunset at the end of the race. But yeah, it should be fairly easy on tyres in regards to heat. But this surface definitely is abrasive, so we do see from races past in this category of car that tyre life is tough to keep a hold of.
Yeah, especially around here with the fact that it's so abrasive and slippery as well because of it being concrete. So it does make tyre conservation very, very important. It does make it quite the factor in terms of who wins and who loses, really. And with no pit stop, there's no chance to put a new set of tyres on. So you really do have to make sure that you're looking after them the entire time and not overdriving one. But if we do get a safety car, it might be someone who gambles with a set of tyres, but we'll have to wait and see what happens, really.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys are probably just going to hold off. I mean, smallish field of 14 cars, 15 cars, so we may see drivers try and hold them tyres on as we get ready for the green flag. 17 laps on the clock, away we go. Barney waves the flag, and a very, very good launch from the front row there for Mark Dial. Sorry, for Gavin Cox it was. My timing gives me wrong information as James Anderson does hold on to that lead, but that mid-pack has settled in very, very quickly, and it looks like it's all fairly smooth sailing all the way through the field.
Yeah, so far so good for everybody else. There are a couple of people dropping down the order off the sun, a few gaining very, very good handful of positions as well. The likes of Brett O'Keefe, you're making a very, very good start going from 5th to 3rd, so he's made a few gains as well. And Tom O'Connor going from 9th to 5th as well. So been some very, very good starts for a lot of people and a lot of scrapping as well going on in the mid-pack as Henry King and Simon Mazzomo are going to be nearly 3 wide with Matthew Pluck trying to get up the inside, but that's not going to end up working in the end, and Pluck's going to have to slot in behind Mazzomo. So nearly had a little bit of contact and some smoke going on as well, so could have ended in disaster, but thankfully it will steam ahead.
Yeah, so as you said, big movers and shakers in the field. O'Keefe up 2, O'Connor up 4, Mazzomo up 2, Green up 2, and Harnell up a position very, very early on. It's very, very tight for that. It's this battle here for 8th and 9th, but just ahead of them, Reece Harnell is really starting to feel some pressure from behind. That pressure being applied by Henry King is looking to make a move, and Matthew Pluck in the background also looking to make a move, neither able to do so. And Harnell already defending. Lap 1's a little bit early to be defensive, I would think. And for me, running those alternate lines is where you find that you'll run into issues with tyre life. As look at the weaving across the circuit. Tom O'Connor is leading a huge train of cars now. He's had a slowdown penalty. All of that work he got on the first lap, it's gone. Henry King looking to make a position as well, and we'll get it done. So he gets 2, with one of them being an absolute freebie.
Yes, certainly. And Mazzomo as well is having to wrestle with Matthew Pluck as Mazzomo dropping 2 wheels into the dirt on the exit of the final corner ever so slightly. But they're going to be 2 by 2 on the way down the front straight. King going to be on the inside of Harnell and Mazzomo on the inside of Pluck. And Mazzomo's going to keep that position and King is going to keep that position. So no changes between those 4.
Very, very clean start. Race Control will be much happier to see that tonight.
Auto.
Oh, I've said it right on cue, haven't I? It's Matthew Pluck that's around. And, of course, I've said that. And that means that we're going to need to bring out the VRS replay because I missed it. And you obviously saw it. Oh, there's another car stopped. Tregarthen. That's in a weird spot. And he's been hit by John Courtney. Well, I guess we better queue up that replay.
Yeah, we might as well at this point with what's been going on. Not quite sure what's happened to Tregarthen, but we'll find out nevertheless. Looking at Matthew Pluck, who kind of just did it all on his own by the looks of it. As he comes through turn 1 and then down towards turn two and just coming through turn two. It just looks like he's caught the inside curb a little bit too much and gassed it up, unfortunately. So not what he's going to want it at all, and he's going to drop down to the back end of the field. And Tregartha, meanwhile, looks like he's done that on his own as well. Just caught the dirt on the outside of the corner and just dropped it straight into the outside wall.
And I've done that one myself. It's a very, very painful hit, and that hit there is probably a little bit more painful though.
Yeah, certainly. It's probably not what he will have wanted it to get clipped on the way by, just to add insult to injury, unfortunately. So that's probably going to be a DNF for Nathan Tregartha, unfortunately. But Cox has kept the pressure on Anderson here, and also looks like Brett O'Keefe's run a little bit wide. It's going to allow Aaron Gilbert to get up the inside, possibly in a slightly better run on the way out of the final corner, and try and set up a move on the way into turn one as well. But possibly not quite going to be close enough this time by to send it up the inside.
Fastest lap, Henry King on lap number 2. So he is the early pace setter, and that's probably why we're seeing King and Harnell close in on this battle. So we really are in a battle for the top 6 places out there at this present stage. Anderson doing a good job of holding on to that position, as you said. Brett O'Keefe, he's impressed me in this early phase of the race so far, not feeling too much pressure from behind. I mean, there's a lot of pressure there, but he doesn't seem to be feeling it at all, as Aaron Gilbert has a little bit of a look, and he's going to maybe get the the overlap, but he won't have the momentum. Very, very tough to get a move on there. You would think that it's a lot easier to get done on paper, but when you actually try to make the moves, getting the momentum out of that corner, not easy.
Yeah, certainly, and the fact that it sort of narrows up on exit as well makes it that much harder as well, because you've got to make sure that the other guy knows that you're going to end up being there, so that there's no contact happening. But yeah, he looked like he wanted to have a go, but then realized he probably wasn't going to pull it up in the end, so just decided to brake a little bit harder and pull out of it in the end. So not a silly move, and he's probably going to try and set one up at the final corner as he gets very, very close on the way through the back end chicane. Nearly had contact between the two of them, bumper to bumper, but like he's trying to set the run up onto the back straight, and looks like he's done not too bad of a job, although O'Keefe looks like he's just got an ever so slight edge over him, and they've got to be careful here because King and Harnell are not too far behind, especially Henry King, who's probably looking to size up Gilbert as well.
Yeah, I think if there is a move going to happen, that's a huge lock up just ahead. I believe that was Cox that may have had that big lock up, but it's on now with the momentum that Aaron Gilbert had through Sunset Med. He might be able to get it done here, not quite close enough on O'Keefe. We've got the, oh actually, wow, late lunge, but big brake lock up and overlap done, holds the position. Very, very nice move in the end there for Aaron Gilbert. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it. I thought he was going to be in way too deep. He somehow made it work.
It's a little bit deceptive turn one in that if you leave the door open, you can allow someone to fire it up the inside, but you have to be aware of the fact that there is a concrete wall on the inside that does stick itself out a little bit if you're the car passing up the inside. So it's still very, very nice job by Aaron Gilbert to move it up the inside of O'Keefe and move into a podium position.
That was a big, big slide coming out of Big Ben there, and doesn't look like it's cost him too much momentum. What it has done with that little overtake, it's meant that Anderson and Cox have been able to break away now. So 1 and 2, P1, P2, definitely out in their own little world at the moment. And the good news for race control is they haven't had anything to do yet. They'll be rather happy about that.
I think it's a successful day in race control if you have to sit there and just go, oh, well, we didn't have to do anything.
Yep. Not often that happens. Fastest lap for Henry King once again on lap number 2. Sorry, lap 3. We're probably not going to see anyone go too much faster than what we've already seen with the track warming up. Now already up to 22 degrees, probably get up to 24, 25, maybe 26 by the end of this race. Race 2 will also be fairly warm as well. As in the back of shot there, you started to see Simon Vella feeling a bit of pressure here from Tom O'Connor as he makes his way back through the field. side by side through Sunset Bend in these big, heavy, bulky cars. Not easy to do. Well done, guys, for being able to manage that. Vela might lose another spot here because he did have to check up a little bit in the mid-corner. Anthony Green, though, is a little bit too far back. Tom O'Connor will finally get another spot up. Now back up into P9.
Well, Willie as well as trying to hold around the outside, but up there position is going to be gained in the end for Tom O'Connor, so he's going to seal the deal on that one.
Last lap by Matthew Pluck, P14, fastest car on track. So Pluck definitely has some pace in the car. He's obviously a little bit back at the moment, but he is not a slouch at the moment. Reese Harnell having another look back at Henry King. This is a battle for P5. They've lost a bit of ground over the last lap to, or last half lap to Aaron Gilbert and Brett O'Keefe, who have closed up to the leaders. I think James Anderson may have made a mistake here, and Aaron Gilbert making a move and getting past Gavin Cox.
Yes, so position change there for Gavin Cox, and Cox did have a, well, tried to have a look at Big Bend up the inside of Anderson, but wasn't quite close enough and quite end up committing in at the end. So that's probably why the positions ended up being changed, with the fact that he didn't quite get the run that he needed out of it Big Bend corner. But nevertheless, it's now Aaron Gilbert's turn to try and find a way on by James Anderson, going very, very deep on the brakes as well. It was Gilbert to try and apply a little bit of pressure and force a mistake out of Anderson, but we'll see what Gilbert can do here. Is come onto the back straight. Anderson with a slightly better run though on the exit, but pretty equal majority for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's got a real pace advantage at this point. They just all seem to get out of the corner quite well, so we'll all check back into line as they start the 5th lap. Actually, big lock up in the mid-corner. Their mistake from Anderson. And now we have a legitimate chance of an overtake at turn 1. Anderson's going to cross the line as the leader. But have a look at the run that 0-3 car of Aaron Gilbert's got. Oh, contact! It was a little bit messy there from Gilbert. I think he was expecting that there was no overlap there, but definitely was.
Yeah, possibly just did look like he was a little bit too early on the turn in and didn't quite expect there to be as much overlap as there was, and unfortunately there was a little bit of overlap, and lucky to get away with that one and not have anything worse happen. But that's sort of brought Cox and O'Keefe back into this a little bit. Gilbert trying to go around the outside of Anderson again, this time at Big Ben corner. He's locked up and run wide, so that's not going to happen, and that's going to really brought Cox and O'Keefe right back into this, and King and Harnell looming in the background as well. So the rate it's going, we're going to see a proper 6, possibly even 7 or 8 car battle for the lead here.
Yeah, Tom O'Connor's just made a mistake at Big Bend on the exit. He's lost a spot to Simon Vella and Anthony Green, so now those guys are shuffling positions. But yeah, this fight between Anderson, Gilbert, Cox, O'Keefe, as you said, it's brought Henry King into it. Harnell's in there, Mazzoma's in there, and Brett Hender is in there as well. So we've literally got 8 cars fighting for the lead right now. This is good racing to watch. And other than one little bump, it has been completely clean.
Yeah, it certainly has, which is really, really good to see for the most part. And a bit of a lock up as well in the background.
Loving this new smoke.
Yeah, it certainly is very, very good. It's a little bit scary though when you're in the driver's seat and you go into a wreck and go, I actually don't know where I'm going. But for the most part, it's been very, very clean and very, very good to see. And it looks like Gilbert's closing up, but not quite going to be able to make a move.
Oh.
But keep up the inside of Cox, though, on the
Late
way
move.
into Sunset Bend with a very, very late move. Barely made it in there without clipping the inside fence. And that's going to be a position gained for O'Keefe. But Cox is going to try and come back at him down the front straight. Is he? Possibly not. But Gilbert's going to look to the outside on the way into turn 1 with a very, very late braking maneuver around to the outside of James Anderson as they come through side by side on the exit. And Anderson's going to have the preferred line for turn 2 though, but Gilbert's not going to give it up and is going to try and hold it around at the outside. He's barely going to have enough overlap for turn 3, but he's going to have to slide behind. A little bit of a bump as well from Gilbert on Anderson, just to unsettle him a little bit, and in the end Anderson's going to come away with the lead in that one.
Yep, for now though, because Gilbert does have the momentum, but he's not able to use it. It's going to be tough to go around the outside here, and he's going to try. He's definitely going to try to make the move, but he won't be able to do it. But what he's going to do is he's going to lose all momentum as will Anderson, and Brett O'Keefe here looking strong. You saw in the background too, side by side between Henry King and Gavin Cox. Henry King has got through in that position. Anderson now on the outside line. Gilbert very, very deep. He's going to overshoot the corner here. No, he's actually made it work. Although Anderson's going to try and come back around the outside and he's going to get the position back. Back into the lead goes James Anderson in the 171.
Great racing going on between these two at the front. It's going to really spice up when you have the likes of Brett Hender come into it, because they're all nose to tail now. It's so close that it's anybody's guess as to who may possibly win this one with the way it's going. But Gilbert's certainly not giving this one up at all and is certainly making Anderson work for this one.
This is some amazing fighting going on right now. And they've all got a fairly good run. I was actually worried there for a second. I saw Henry King moving across. I was worried that he might have had a slowdown penalty. Can very easily get a slowdown through Le Mans, the second last corner. But here comes Gilbert again up the inside at Sunset Bend. Is he going to be able to do it? Henry King goes straight ahead in the background. Gilbert had to check up mid-corner. Oh, huge power slide as he tries to keep ahead of James Anderson. Anderson gets the spot back. Brett O'Keefe's been the big winner out of this. Both ANZ cars, both Henry James Racing cars, dropping back through the field. Gilbert back to third. And Henry King's dropped all the way back to 7th after going straight ahead at Sunset Bend.
I'm not quite sure what happened to Henry King at Sunset Bend to run as wide as he did and pretty much just completely missed the brake marker, but Gilbert's going to end up getting on back through Brett O'Keefe, the two teammates working together to swap positions by the looks of it. But nevertheless, it's a very, very good fight at the front, and it's allowed Anderson to break away a little bit here with the fact that these lot haven't been fighting as hard as they have.
Yep, it's been very, very intense fighting too in that secondary group, and Anderson won't be able to get a full breakaway happening, but he will be able to just gather his breath and composure before they come back at him again. One thing about this track is the draft keeps the pack together, and as you can see, 8 cars all within 3.5 seconds. This is going so well right now for these top 8. Mistakes, yes. Contact, no. What we want to see when we have good, hard, tight racing. Don't want to see someone's race ended by someone else's mistake. Okay to see mistakes because that's part of racing. But this racing has been great so far as we're almost at the halfway point of race 1 for the night. Of course, after this race, we do it all again after we have our truck race. But every car in the lead lap, reverse grid at the moment, that is all 16 starters will be reversed. Race 2 is going to be even more spicy if we've got this pack like this in reverse order at the start of the race.
Yeah, certainly going to see a lot of these guys trying to work their way through the field in race 2 with the way it's sitting, especially the likes of Anderson and Gilbert, who are going to have the most work starting all the way down the back of the field. But Gilbert's looking very, very racy here at the moment. He's looking like he might try and move around the outside at turn 1 again. We'll see what he does on the way into the braking zone. Brakes a little bit later, sweeps around the outside, trying to hold on as best as he can, but just can't quite seem to do it this time. So is going to have to concede that battle and let Anderson stay ahead of him for the time being.
We may have a safety car incoming. You can see this is John Courtney. He's had an incident out on circuit. His car is stopped. And not 100% sure as to why, but he has not got any movement in the car. If we can pick up exactly why he's got that damage on his car. It's actually been on the car for quite a while. Not too sure as to what has caused that accident. But we'll see if we can pick up why/what. He has been granted a tow, so it means that we're going to stay green, which I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, looking at the positioning of where his car was parked here, would have been at least been able to be pushed behind at the wall of where the club circuit pits are, so in a nice safe position to make sure that we don't end up under safety car in the end, so these guys can keep racing as hard as they have been for the past 9 laps, but 9 laps to go as well, so halfway through this race. And who's going to come away with the win in this one? As anybody's guess still is, it's very, very compacted still at the front of the field. It's anybody's guess to who in the top 7 could possibly win this race.
And looking at lap times as well, Simon Vella in P9 is pretty much lapping at the same pace as these guys. So one little mistake from any of the guys in this pack will bring them all together. Just notice in the background there too, Henry King has dropped off a little bit, but Brett Hender has dropped a long way off this pack. So 9th and 10th there on screen. Vella and O'Connor not far away from being in the lead fight. We cross the line to end lap number 9. Anderson, Gilbert, O'Keefe, Cox, Harnell, Mazzomo, King, Hender, Vella and O'Connor. Your top 9 cars all together at the moment.
Literally nothing separating these guys at the moment with how close they are, and Gilbert's still applying the pressure, and looks like Cox is trying to get a move on as well to try and find a way on by Brett O'Keefe as well just behind, but certainly can't discount any of these guys to possibly take the win off Anderson, who's run a very, very good race so far and is still doing very, very well to hold off the pressure from Gilbert, who's literally thrown everything at him so far in this race.
Definitely has, as there goes O'Keefe up, Cox up the inside of O'Keefe, and momentum again out of that corner. Said it many, many times already, but very, very tough to keep it because you're so slow on exit. When you take that inside line, you've got to turn sharper for that exit of that apex. Does make it hard to keep the power down, and with the horsepower in these cars, someone on the outside is just going to scoot away from you if you're side by side at apex.
Yeah, definitely, but can hold around the outside, but certainly is very much hard work and not always going to win. As Gilbert up the inside, well, sticking the nose up the inside of James Anderson on the way through Le Mans, but not quite able to make it happen in the end. Tried to force a mistake from Anderson, but just didn't quite end up happening and being the way that he wanted it. But he is going to get a nice draft down the back straight on the way down towards Sunset Bend. He's going to look to the outside as Anderson goes defensive towards Sunset Bend, and around the outside he's going to try is Aaron Gilbert. Is he going to be able to hold it? Is just about going to be able to do it. He's going to have momentum on his side for the exit of the corner, but Anderson is not going to give this one up at all, and it's going to be a drag race down towards turn 1. A little bit of door banging as well for good measure between these two as they head into turn 1, and Gilbert's going to finally take the race lead off James Anderson, or is he? Because Anderson's going to do the cutback on the exit of turn 1 and take the lead straight back off Gilbert as they head down towards turn 2. Gilbert's going to try around the outside, but not quite going to be late enough on the brakes. This is unbelievable.
You know what makes it even more unbelievable? At the line, 0.000 was the official gap at the finish line that lap. So we see something like that in 7 laps time. We're going to have an amazing finish to this race, but that's not an amazing drive right there for Mazzomo off the circuit, and he's not going to be happy with me, but I'm going to have to get a replay up. Sorry, Mez. Let's see what's happening here. Side by side with Henry King, and was there a bit of contact? I don't think there was. I think it's just that these big curbs which can unsettle the car quite easily. Keep it out of the wall. Yeah, he does. Huge drop down the field. Those drop back to P number 11 as Mazzomo. As we go back to the leaders, Aaron Gilbert now with the lead. Anderson, where will he get it back? Brett O'Keefe, Gavin Cox right there as well. We're now down to 6 essentially because the rest of the field is starting to drop off slowly by slowly. I must say, I think Gavin Cox is one of the ones that is best placed because he has not looked aggressive on his tyres at all. Anderson and Gilbert, I think their tyres are going to be shot with a couple of laps to go.
Very, very possible he's going to be struggling later on in this race. The fact that he's been so aggressive in making those tyres work as hard as he has, but we'll have to see what happens as he's starting to build a little bit of a gap back to, well, just ahead of James Anderson, and O'Keefe's now starting to apply the pressure to Anderson, who's run deep into Sunset and struggling to power down, and they've both run wide.
Gilbert ran really wide at the exit, the second part of the corner at Sunset Bend, and I'd say Gilbert is very, very committed through the first part of turn 1, and almost every lap is running a lot wider than everyone else, but somehow works. I've never really seen that line used in these cars before, but it's working for him quite well.
Yeah, it is working quite well for him, and like you said, it's something you don't typically see, but hey, if it works, it works at the end of the day. So props to him on making him work. But Anderson's trying to come back at Gilbert here to try and close that gap back down, but doesn't look like it's going to happen in the background though. Harnell's trying to find a way on by Cox, but not quite going to be able to do it in the end. King tried to make a move on Harnell as well, but that didn't end up taking place in the end as well.
So much fighting going on in this race. Gilbert, Anderson, O'Keefe and Cox, as well as Harnell and King, top 6 all in shot together. As just see Mark Dials around at Big Bend. If we can get back to that. This is the biggest lead we've seen anyone have in this race other than James Anderson. Anderson had a 1.2 second lead early on, but went out to, what was it, 0.6 of a second. That's the biggest gap we've seen all race long.
Gilbert clearly got a little bit of pace at the moment, but whether that's going to last the last 5 or so laps is anybody's guess. As Anderson had a very, very big wiggle on the exit of the onto the back straight, just dropping a wheel into the dirt on the exit off the exit curb. So very lucky to get away with that one, but not what he wants to be doing at all if he wants to win this race here. Oh, and Gilbert's run a little bit deep on the way into turn 1 as well with a bit of a lock up, but managing to recover it quite nicely and not to lose too much time if any positions at all, but certainly going to damage that inside front tyre quite a bit as well, so he won't be going to be doing that too many more times, or he might find himself in a little bit of strife come the end of this race.
Yeah, and huge lockup as well for Gavin Cox. Had the right-hand side, sorry, left-hand side, no, right-hand side tyres completely locked at turn in. I had to think about that a couple of times. Get my lefts and my rights right. But they were really heavily locked, and Reece Harnell was almost able to get the move done. So Cox will be hurting a little bit for the next lap or so, just with that heat in those tyres, as Anderson defends aggressively from Brett O'Keefe. And have a look at that group behind, start to close in so quickly under brakes. Gavin Cox, Reece Harnell, Henry King, all closed up huge chunks of time through that corner.
Massive gains being made there through Big Bend, and it's really starting. Close time, and Anderson's off the road because of contact between himself and O'Keefe.
There was contact there between them. We need another look at that, because there was heavy impact into the rear, which unsettled the car of James Anderson. He's only just got it going again, so I'm pretty sure he stalled the car as well. Anderson now back into P12. You can see here, and a little bit of contact, enough to unsettle the car. Around goes Anderson, and Brett O'Keefe may be saying hello to the boys over at Race Control, because that will be frowned upon very, very, very hard by those guys.
Certainly it will be, and Anderson won't be happy at all, although this will help him for a grid slot in terms of come race 2 with where he is on track, but he still won't be too happy to miss out on so many points and a possible race win as well with the way it was going. So Gilbert currently with no pressure on him whatsoever, so he just needs to cruise home and do what he can to get home from this point on. But the battle for third on back is still going on. Henry King is going to start to close that gap down to O'Keefe and Harnell, but Harnell is pressuring O'Keefe hard.
Definitely is. And O'Keefe will be trying to hold on to as much time as he can, because he's probably got it in the back of his mind he's about to lose 30 seconds or so controlling down the pit lane. Should be okay if he does get a penalty, which we're fairly sure there's something incoming. We're not 100% sure, but he'll know that, or he'll be trying to work out where he's going to feed back out. And I think I just see there is a race control message just coming through. Damn, I can't quite see it on my screen though.
It's been black flagged by the looks of it, so indeed a penalty has been handed out to Brett O'Keefe for that contact between himself and James Anderson. So justice has been served for James Anderson, but still doesn't help the fact that he's down the orders. So there'll be some relief, thankfully, but in the end it's not going to be what Brett O'Keefe will hope for at all, as he's going to lose a podium, and this will promote Harnell to the final spot on the podium, meaning that Henry King and Harnell are battling for the final spot on the podium.
Yep, this is going to be a very, very good fight now too. This will be the fight for third and fourth, as They're side by side through this kink. You've got to be careful through this second kink because you can get a slowdown penalty if you're too aggressive there. And I reckon Henry King's tucked in behind because he got one. I think he was too aggressive there. He's not looking to make moves at all. Let's see if he's a little bit slower on the pace. No, he's still on it. So maybe start running a different line, trying to unsettle the car of Harnell. Have a look at the momentum he's got down the straight here. The overspeed is huge, but he can't do anything with it.
Or can he? Because he's going to try around the outside. Going to go a little bit deep though, and he's going to try and get the crossover on the exit of Sunset Bend, and he's done that very nicely as well. And just in the background, Brett O'Keefe coming in to serve that penalty, and Henry King going to try to the outside on the way into turn one, very close to the concrete wall for pit exit, but not quite going to be able to get anywhere or use that momentum that he had to any use. But he's going to try up the inside now on the way into turn two with another crossover, and he's just going to make contact between himself and Harnell, and Harnell's going to end up going off the road, and King's going to have to redress that by the looks of it. Or is he going to continue? Looks like he might continue on here.
And have a look at where the penalty has brought Anderson and O'Keefe back out here after Anderson rejoining the track after being spun by Brett O'Keefe. They're both back together. So the fight goes on. Just there's an extra one at the start of the position that they were fighting for only a few laps ago, as Reece Harnell now under pressure from Tom O'Connor. And I'm wondering if he's got a little bit of damage to the car from that hit too, because it was almost wheel-to-wheel contact. You see that left-hand rear fender not sitting over the wheel properly, over that tyre. There could be a bit of damage there to that wheel.
Yeah, looks like, looking on board, he does have a little bit of right hand down at the moment, so it does look like he's got a little bit of damage that he's having to deal with, which isn't going to be too ideal for him, and really isn't going to be helping him at all, with the fact that he's got O'Connor, Vela, Pluck and Mizomo not too far behind him, so could possibly lose more positions here if he's unlucky enough.
We've gone from a race that was very, very clean to a race that's just gone crazy in the last few laps as everyone's trying to jostle for positions. Simon Vela up a few positions. Our biggest mover in the field, positive positions, is Simon Vela. He just gets another spot there on Tom O'Connor, so he's up from 11th into 6th. But our biggest fall of positions is James Anderson. Of course, started on pole. Oh no, that's too close to be going that close through that corner, because you can't judge where the other car is. Good driving from both O'Connor, Vela, and also Pluck to make that work. As I just see Henry King is slowing up. I think he's pulled out of that fight with Brett Hender to give up the position, and he will end up redressing here to Reece Harnell. I'm not sure if that's the case, but to me that looked like what Henry King was doing there, because he was fairly slow on that front straight there. But this battle for 6th, 7th and 8th, also 9th now as well, getting very, very close.
It does look like Henry King is going to try and redress the position. By the looks of it, yes, he is going to redress that position. He's going to take the old international layout and give that position back to Reece Harnell in the end. And he's actually going to drop even more positions as a result of that and get a slow down.
A true penalty.
yeah. Joker lap, as you could say.
Yep, so he's dropped himself from 3rd back to 9th. Of course, Henry has been the main man organising the series. He's got damage to his car too, so okay, that wasn't successful for him. So Henry just putting on the smoke signals, saying I might have to give up this one. And then we're at the point too where tyre life and tyre conservation is going to be king. Aaron Gilbert obviously has done a very, very good job. He's now up to a 3-second lead. As I said, Gavin Cox has done really well as well to hold on to the tyres. Whoever's got the best tyres in this 4-car fight here for 5th, they're going to have that spot.
Yeah, certainly are going to have that spot at the end of the day with the way that it's going, and with the laps ticking down, it's certainly going to be a matter of who's going to be able to use their tyres as well to the most potential, well, use all the tyres possible with the fact that there's only going to be one lap to go this time by. As more lockups going on at Sunset Bend, and they're all squabbling over each other at the moment for this final few spots inside, or just outside the top 5 at the moment.
Yep, it's been a really, really good fight between our top few competitors, that being Gilbert, Cox, O'Keefe, Anderson, King, Harnell earlier, and now Harnell trying to hold on. Pluck is starting to close up. You can see the gap there now. It's down to 1 second. Last lap by, Pluck was a full second quicker than Harnell, and this battle for 5th between Pluck, Vella, O'Connor and Mazzomo basically is now a battle for 4th, because Harnell is limping this car home. Vella gonna have to go the long way around. This is gonna be tough. I tell you what, if he can hold it around the outside, big lock up there for Pluck. You're not quite able to do it. I thought Vella might be able to do it around the outside based on tyre life.
Yeah, I think he might have just been able to do it, but Vella just not quite able to do it. In the end, he's going to look to the inside on the way down towards the back end of the circuit. Pluck's going to hold it around the outside, give each other room, and Pluck's going to end up taking or keeping that position off of Vella, who's going to run a little bit wide, and that's going to allow Tom O'Connor to possibly have a look. Mazzomo getting in there as well. It's contact between Vella and O'Connor's going to end up off the road and into the tyre very hard.
We'll get a look at that post-race. But out of Le Mans comes Aaron Gilbert on the run to Sunset Bend. Nathan Tregarthen not able to hold on to the lead lap. He's got huge damage on this lap. So that will put him from being pole position for race 2 later on tonight. He's going to have to start from the back of the field. He's made his night a little bit tougher by not being able to hold on for an extra lap. But congratulations, Aaron Gilbert will cross the line and pick up the win. Race 1, round number 3, or event number 3 in the Racing Sims V8SCOPS series. Gavin Cox second. Brett Hender's going to come home in 3rd position. This battle for 4th now, because have a look, Harnell's literally limping at home. Is he going to be able to get there? Just does. And only by half a second in the end. Vella gets 6th. Mazzomo in 7th. Anthony Green in 8th. We've still got battling going on back in the field. O'Connor is just ahead of these guys here. This is Brett O'Keefe on his drive back through the field. He's going to finish in 11th position, just ahead of Mark Dial. You also see in that too, Tom O'Connor actually was the lead car in that group. Sorry, so just hold on there. Henry King, obviously something. Henry King's got a meatball flag, I can tell, based on the live timing. That is why Henry King was giving up positions. It wasn't because of damage, or it wasn't because he was being sporting. He had a meatball. He had to come in. That's why he's driving it in the pits now. He may actually get DQ'd here. James Anderson will be... Anderson slowing down to let Henry King cross the line first?
I'm not sure. Anderson's been doing the entire lap in 6th gear so far, so I think he's out of fuel.
Yep, potentially. King does cross the line. But everyone is now home. We will get our results. They could change on us when we go to show them here on screen, but we'll see what happens here. Is Gilbert picks up the win, Cox in 2nd, Hender in 3rd position. We've got Harnell, Pluck, Vella, Mazzomo, Green, Kitchen and O'Connor. We go over the page to O'Keefe, Dial, and then the slowest ever battle for 13th position. 2 cars literally limping home, Henry King and James Anderson. That will be a front row for race number 2 very, very soon. Nathan Tregarthen in 15th and John Courtney in 16th. Skraev did not take the start. Ben Christensen was sitting in race control. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it will be the second part of racing for the night. As we put away the V8s, we bring out the trucks and change layout as well as we go to the club circuit. A circuit I have not seen a race on iRacing for since 2011. So this is going to be a bit of a throwback for me as well. But stick with us here on SimSpeed TV. We'll be back very, very soon for the second part of racing tonight. The Pro Trucks here at Sebring in the racingsims.co.nz V8SCOPS support series.
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year. But the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker. Especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs. Any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
Welcome back to SimSpeed TV here for the racingsims.co.nz V8SCOPS support series. I tell you what, no rest for us. Lucky we didn't have a safety car in that last race because we're straight into it. As our race number 2 of the evening gets underway, and it will be Glenn Postlethwaite on pole in the trucks with Daniel Stevens alongside. Justin Howe in 3rd position, his first race in this series. Reece Gardner in 4th. Sam Stride in 5th, and we've got Nick Skrajev starting from position number 6. Small field tonight with 2 drivers getting in at the last second, those being Reese Hunnell and John Courtney. Will be a standing start around this layout. A layout, as I said, I haven't seen raced on iRacing for an absolute eternity. It's going to be interesting to see how these trucks go, Cam. It's going to be a very, very tough race for these guys.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a very, very tough race. A little bit of a shorter layout than what we were used to just before, but nevertheless, we'll see who's going to end up coming out on top, and hopefully we see some really, really good racing out of this one.
Yep, and for those of you who are wondering, we're running the club layout here at Sebring as the revs rise and we get ready to get underway. 10-lap race ahead for the drivers as we get a launch. Postlethwaite, good jump there. Daniel Stevens alongside Howie in 3rd. Very, very good start from him. Reece Gardner. And we've got Stride, Skrajev, Courtney, and Harnell at the back of the field as Courtney runs a little bit wide. So he's got back out there after having those issues earlier on. But Posy leads the way. For those of you wondering about how this circuit goes, we basically run the top half of the circuit. So we cut from the big sweeping left-handers, and then we have the sharp right. We cut from after that back around towards Big Bend. So just about to come through the shortcut in just a moment. Posy with a very, very good jump, and he has a way. But that battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is very, very intense with drivers that are very, very familiar to each other. Those being Daniel Stevens, Justin Howe, Reece Gardner familiar with him too, but he's normally not out on track. He's normally up here talking with you, Cam, around these things.
Yeah, he certainly is. More times than not, so it'll be certainly a little bit of a sex concept between Reece and Stevens there as well as Howe, but certainly he's used to more talking up in the comms box here than being out on track with these boys, but certainly giving them a good run for their money at the moment, seeing in P4 and on Justin Howe's tail as well.
100% giving them a good run for their money. So we finish lap number 1. So that is the layout. So there's only one section that you are not familiar with from that last race. So we watched Daniel Stevens Huge lead for Glenn Postlethwaite, but that battle back behind, Justin Howe's just holding on from Reese Gardner. That we jump on board with Reese as just at the volume inside the trucks here. Here's the shortcut that cuts across and cuts straight across to where turn 2 is. And then we go through the S's before we go under the bridge. So that is your shortcut for this layout. And I must say, it is a pretty cool little layout. It's a track that we used to run in the V8 way back when. This actually used to be the layout the V8 used and not the full Sebring circuit.
Yeah, it's quite a unique little layout, and it's actually really, really cool to race, well, do laps around here and also watch stuff go around as well, because you can almost watch the entire track from nearly anywhere around the track. So it's quite a unique little circuit, and it's probably more common for the fact that it's used for IndyCar pre-season testing more times than not. So if you're an IndyCar fan, you probably know this track quite well.
Yep, very, very familiar to IndyCar, as this track is in general. IndyCar racing here, testing here. Howie at the moment, Justin Howe starting to put pressure back on Daniel Stevens, but I'll tell you what, Posy, we're not even going to talk about him for the rest of the race. He's gone. He's absolutely out of here. John Courtney having an issue in the back of field as Daniel Stevens gets rolled over, had a sausage roll on that, and Howie's going to pull over because he's going to try and redress that, but a bit hard to redress something when the guy that you've punted literally rolled over the fence.
Yeah, that was a massive impact between those two. I'm not quite sure how he was trying to do there, whether he just went a little bit too deep on the brakes or missed his brake marker or what, but he certainly sent Stevens to the shadow realm, that's for sure.
Yep, so we'll get another look at it here. So this is the section now that we're coming up to the shortcut. Focused on the wrong car, so there we go. That was the impact I was trying to find, and I missed it. Let's do that quickly, and we'll get another look at it. Let's get a better look at it.
Get a look from the trackside cameras. I'm just coming towards the part where they turn into it, and yeah, just kind of looks like how it just goes in a little bit too deep.
Yeah. I must say it was fairly incidental contact. It's just the angle that Stevens was on that just made it end up being a lot worse than it really was. We have seen from Pro Truck Showdown that these things aren't the best at keeping the things straight. So Daniel Stevens, his race is done. Tell you what, that's 2 weeks in a row that he's had bad luck in the series. He's had bad luck in the Legend. He's having more bad luck out there in the truck. Nick Skrajev, the easiest man to find in this and also the V8 series. Cars are going to be fluoro bright yellow for the entire season at this stage, so he's not going to be too hard to find. Also, here in the race controls had some issues getting into the server, so everything will be post-race reviewed from race control at this point. So the timing ended up a little bit out of whack. We've ended up not running probably at the time that we were originally hoping to, so meant that race control has been caught out a little. And Stevens been able to get this truck back going again after it being teleported to the pits.
Surprisingly, only one let down on the posse as well, which is a little bit surprising.
Yep. Yeah, he stayed on the lead lap. He's Daniel Stevens, so good. But this battle is the best battle at the moment. Reese Arnell and Nick Skrajev are battling, but Reese Gardner holding onto this position from Stan Stride. Just.
Yeah, he's just holding on to second at the moment from Stride, who's doing a pretty good job at keeping the pressure on Reese at the moment, and bringing a little bit earlier as well was Stride didn't quite want to lunge it up the inside of the Reese has run a little bit deep and Stride on the power as well, so that's going to allow Stride to a slightly better exit, although Stride is starting to slide a little bit all over the show as well himself, so might not quite get the power down that he hoped to get to the ground, but Reese is going to go defensive this time by into turn one and try and go around the outside is Stride, but not quite going to make it happen in the end.
Seeing Justin Howe's got back past Skrajev and Harnell as Harnell tries to take advantage of that as well. They're still side by side. I must say, the start-finish line here does get a little confusing because you have to try and work out where it is. There's 3 lines painted on the track. None of those are the actual finish line.
Yeah, they actually aren't the finish line at all, and it certainly does make it
I
quite
don't think there's even witches'
confusing.
hats there, are there?
No, I don't think there is actually. I'm pretty sure there isn't witches' hats at all. If the only witches' hats there are the braking zone for the standard normal track, and for that corner too. Oh, Scrave though.
He's pushing hard, isn't he, Nick? So he was listening in with us earlier on, but I think he went off to go and do a bit of practice for the 12 hour, and then thought, I better go and actually learn this circuit in this truck because it's not easy. I just noticed just ahead, we're going to cut away from this because it was on between Reese Gardner and Sam Stride, but they've now split up. We're going to have to check out what's happened there because there was an attempt at a move for that second position in the run up to Big Bend.
You know, get a virtual racing school replay of what's happened here, and up the inside is Stridey, and goes whoops a little bit too
Ooh.
deep and a little bit too aggressive on the go pedal as well. And
Yep.
as a result, is going to do a half spin, and Reese is going to slip back on by there.
Yep, so Gardner will hold on to second for now. Postlethwaite absolutely blitzing the field as it is right now. Currently has a 7.5 second advantage over Reese Gardner, as he will come up to start the final lap in just a moment. And as we were talking about, you'll see just up here, so there's 4 witches hats here for Big Bend. And Posy gets that stopped very, very easily. And then from here, you're sort of blind as to where the actual finish line is. If you've got a run on someone and not sure when to pull out to get the run and time the run, you are very, very blind as to where the finish line is. It's somewhere around about there that Posy's just driven over. That's the best we can give you for where the finish line is.
Yeah, it's round about where pit entry actually starts.
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of a change in the surface. You see Harnell coming just there where that last that bit of curb is, that where the pit entry is. I believe is where it is. Scrayev has a huge luck up trying to get back past Harnell, not able to get through. Postlethwaite, is he on the final lap? It could be on 2 to go here. It's very, very borderline as to what he is on right now. Current lap times are around about 73 seconds, and I think that was pretty close to what was left on the clock as he crossed the line. I actually think we're going to have another lap to go after this.
It'll be close either way. We'll have to see what happens.
Yep, we'll be very, very tight. Either way, Daniel Stevens is going to continue on. He's not going to get passed by Posy. He'll get to finish the full quota by the looks of it, just based on lap time. And about 13 seconds left on the clock when Posy crossed the line there. So this is now the final lap. And Gardner and Stride back on again. Stride, he started to close back up now. And tell you what, around the outside is going to be tough. Not able to do it. Reese will hold on. Reese was telling us pre-race that this track is undoubtedly bumpy, but the way you can drive through some of the corners, you can be ultra aggressive and not slow the car down too much. So Postlethwaite's found that out quite well, but the guys behind are probably just starting to work that out now. As I just seen Justin Howes slowed for some reason. He's checking up quite a lot. Is he out of fuel?
I don't think so. Well, it would be physically impossible to be out of fuel if Postlethwaite hasn't run out of fuel. Put it that way.
Very true. Very, very good point. But speaking of Posy,
might be redressing the Stevens, maybe.
yeah, potentially. As I've just seen, Posy has checked up quite a lot, and he will come across the line to pick up the win in the 3rd round of Trucking Legends. The 2nd time we've had the trucks out after running last weekend at Mosport. Postlethwaite picks up the win. Gardner will finish 2nd. Stride in 3rd. Battle for 4th is still on, though, between Harnell and Scrayev. I tell you what, Scrayev trying to cross-country a position there. He's not going to be able to do it. Harnell will hold on to 4th. 5th to Scrayev. And then we've got Justin Howe limping the car back to the pits. And I think you're right. I think that he's redressing this to Daniel Stevens. Probably going to be less frowned upon by race control if that does happen that way. Still going to be frowned upon, but I think he's going to get less of a penalty for an incident if he redresses the spot. But he's got a couple of corners left to do it.
Yeah, still does have a few more corners, although he's getting rather close to the finish line with the rate it's going.
If he's actually going to redress the spot, whether they're going to try and go side by side across the line. And I tell you what, Gal's held onto the spot.
Only just.
Literally by the smallest margin, well, not necessarily possible, but a very, very minute margin there for that position. So we will get our race results up on screen, and you can see there now Postlethwaite winning from Reese Gardner, Sam Stride, Reese Harnell, Nick Scrayev, and then that gap between Howe and Stevens, 0.022 of a second. Literally nothing in it. That is Trucking Legends done for event 3, I should say. And we'll be back with the final race of the night, race 2 of the V8s here from Sebring in just a couple of minutes' time. Stick with us here on SimSpeed TV. We'll be back very, very soon.
Yeah, so we're using the VRS Direct Force Pro this year. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year. But the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker. Especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs. Any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go! Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to Sebring, final event of the night, and we have our V8s back out on the circuit, ready to go for race number 2, reverse grid for those drivers, full reverse grid of every car on the lead lap, which means we'll have 14 cars reversed positions from race number 1. Race 2 will be a little bit warmer out on track because the time of day has moved. As we said, we were starting the race 1 in the early morning. It's now just after 9 a.m. I nearly said 9 p.m. My name is Jay Kennedy, alongside me Cameron Dance. Cam, this is going to be very, very intense based on the positional changes we saw with the guys that had issues, whether it be themselves having issues or contact with other cars.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a very, very interesting race with the fact that you've got that reverse grid thrown into it. Also, expect a lot of scenes and a lot of people making their way through the field, and possibly even a few more incidents as well, with the fact that you're going to have quicker guys coming through the slower guys as well. So hopefully we don't see race control have too much of a workout, but who knows what's going to happen.
100%. We will find out very, very soon. 4 minutes time before we get underway. Haven't heard much back from race control, so hopefully we'll see if I do know that race control are reviewing the incident we saw in the Trucking Legend. They will be looking back over that, but won't know. I haven't heard too much about the other incidents that weren't adjudicated on during that last race, so we'll hopefully hear back from race control around that very, very soon. As I stumble over my words, you can see why I usually don't sit in the commentator's booth. Cam, you're used to hearing my voice while we're doing a broadcast, but we haven't really commentated together much for a long, long time. We do every now and again, but we used to commentate together quite a lot, and it's been too long since we've done a proper serious broadcast together, I think, Cam.
Yeah, I can't actually remember the last time we were properly commentating together, to be honest.
We've done some fun events like Club Day Masters special event, but other than that, I can't even remember. It'd have to be...
It would be years now, probably.
Yeah, it's like OEC or something, or OSC maybe.
Yeah,
Sprint
something
series.
like that, probably.
I'm enjoying being in the comms box, but I do miss my my other headset sitting back in the background, yelling at you and someone else, as opposed to talking to you and not being able to yell at you at the same time. No, I don't really yell when I'm producing, but. We're 3 minutes away from getting this race going once again, and I think this is going to be a race of real redemption for James Anderson here. I mean, started on pole, was well and truly on for a podium, and then ends up way back down the field. He's going to be trying his hardest to try and get something out of this race, because he deserved a lot better of a result than what he got in race 1.
Yeah, he certainly did. He really should have at least got a first or a second, maybe even a third, but probably a win in the end was really what he should have got. So we'll have to see what he can do in this race from where he's starting, and he's going to certainly be wanting to make use of that reverse grid, very much so, with the fact that he's going to be starting a little bit more further towards the front of the field again this time, rather than all the way down the back with those that he was around in race 1.
Now, my memory is shot, you know that. He's starting from pole, is not. We had Anderson and King have the slowest race to the finish line you've ever seen to try and steal pole for this race from memory. But I could be wrong, but that was what I think I remember. I'm going to get corrected in the chat soon enough, but this race coming up now, it's going to be very, very tough for everyone in that mid group, because they're so evenly matched for pace, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are. It's very, very equal in that mid-pack especially, and you saw there at the end that it was like a melee between who was going to get the final podium spot and who was going to get the final spots within the top 5. So it's anybody's guess as to what the order is going to look like come the end of the second race, but it's certainly James Anderson's to lose, with the fact that he is going to be starting on pole due to where he finished in race 1. So it'll be a very, very good opportunity for him to break away and build a little bit of a gap to keep himself at the front of the field and try and get a win.
And I can tell that you and I were both doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, going back and finding the results from race 1. Sheets of paper going everywhere and notepads written in everywhere. But yeah, Anderson, King, Dial will be the front 3 for this race. Brett O'Keefe will start P4. That battle between O'Keefe and Anderson, I think there's going to be a little bit of life left in it. And I feel like that's a battle that we're going to see go on throughout the entirety of this series.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's been very, very close between those guys, and I like you said, can see it going all the way down to the final round as well between them, and it being just such an awesome battle every single round and timeouts. So looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season is going to hold for those guys and what sort of battles we might see. But yeah, it's still, you got to finish the race to finish first at the end of the day.
Exactly right. Need to be up the pointy end at the end of the night as the checkered flag does fly. And we will get our grid up on screen in just a moment as I click the right button. And here it comes. Just a second. There we go. So, can we get the grid up? There we go. There it is. It's populated right at the last second. Anderson, King, Dial, O'Keefe, O'Connor, Kitchen, and then over the page to Green, Mizomo, Vela, Pluck, Harnell, Hender, then Cox, Gilbert, Tregarthen, and Courtney. 16 cars. Sorry, 14 cars we've got. Oh, I was right the first time. 16. From the first race, and then you can see Ben Christensen, race control. He'll be doing as I normally would do, Cam, yelling at people. Saying that he probably thought he was going to get away with a nice easy night, and then all of a sudden, absolute yep, you know what I'm trying to say. Calamity ensued. Yes, I got my words there. It's been a long day. It's been a long day. It's been a long week. Those that don't know, it's been a huge week of sim racing this week, and continues tonight and over the weekend. Of course, the Sebring 12-hour on this weekend as well. As we get ready, the lights are on. Barney gets his green flag out, waves it away, and we get this race underway. 17 laps of racing. Anderson, King, Dial, O'Keefe, all fairly good jump, but Brett O'Keefe, James Anderson, this battle is going to continue, as we said, because O'Keefe has shot to the lead from P4.
Yeah, very, very good start. Not a very good launch for Anderson at all, and a very, very good launch from Henry King as well to move straight into P3. So not the launch that Anderson will have hoped for at all, but Brad O'Keefe with an absolute monster of a start to go from fourth all the way to the lead of the race. So he'll be absolutely stoked with that in the background as well. There's been a little bit of a mess. His car's going everywhere. Brett Hender's in the wall, and Anthony Green spun around as well.
Yep, Green facing the wrong way, and as you said, Brett Hender also in the wall, and that car is fairly heavily damaged. We'll get a replay up of that very, very soon. But at the front of the field, race one, remember, Brett O'Keefe started fifth, was in third by the end of turn one. This race started fourth in the lead, and it is fairly settled now at the front. Mark Dial, Simon Vella, they battle it out. And also involved there, I believe Mizomo may have been involved in that incident as well, because Corey Kitchen has just dropped behind him. But Mizomo started around about 8th position from memory as well, so he's dropped back a few. Let's see if we can have a look at what has happened at turn number 4. If I click the right button here, let's see if this works.
It did work. There you go.
Look at this. Things are working now. So there's been contact actually very early on. Just missed it there. We will go back a bit further, but Aaron Gilbert got into the side of Brett Hender. So you can see that Hender's already got damage there. And then you can see, oh no.
Oh.
Wow. That's Anthony Green. He'd already spun by that point. So let's go back a little bit further. Let's watch this car here. Aaron Gilbert. Watch the car, the 03. Under brakes. Just clips the grass. Hits into the side. Now watch Green here. Has there been any help for Green around? I think this is just, oh, maybe. Triple two there. They've just crossed over. I think the triple two car there of now maybe getting a little bit of a hello from race control. But Hender has been the one that's ended up the worst out of all of that, unfortunately for him. He has got the car going again, but it is limping around. We stay Green at the front, and I'll tell you what, it is on.
Yeah, it really is on at the front of the field between Anderson and O'Keefe. Is Anderson not going to look to make a move at this time by at Big Bend, but certainly is pressuring O'Keefe quite a bit at the moment, knowing that he's got some very, very good pace, does Anderson. So we'll see what happens between these two. They came to blows in race one as well, remember, so we'll see what happens here, and possibly a little bit of return serve, maybe not quite to the extent that happened in race one, but who knows what will happen.
Gavin Cox already up 5 spots as well, so He's one to watch. We said that he was really good on his tyres in that last race, and with the temperatures being a little bit warmer in this one, track temp up about 5 or 6 degrees more from what it was, and it will rise throughout this race. Then we're going to see quite a few drivers starting to struggle with tyre life at the end. We heard from a couple of drivers in that break that weren't racing in the trucks. They'd actually gone and done a little bit of testing. We know Simon Mazzomo, who's actually can hear us at the moment, so sorry, Maz. He was talking about changing the gear ratio so they could get a bit better drive and better traction through the mid-corner. He was doing things like that, but I reckon other drivers are doing big camber changes to the cars to try to get them to handle a little bit better with the weather conditions being a little bit different from what they may have been expecting. So we could see a really different second half of this race, as Henry King's had a slowdown penalty by the looks of it coming through Le Mans, and he's still trying to slow down now. This could be dangerous and disastrous for Henry King, as Pluck and Vella side by side, and Simon Vella now up into P4.
Very, very good move there from Vella, although Pluck's going to come straight back at him on the exit of turn 1 and take that position straight back off him at turn 2, as Vella with a bit of a lock-up and is going to have to concede that position. And now in the background there, you're going to have Harnell trying to find a way on by Vella as well.
Fastest lap, Brett O'Keefe, no surprise, being the leader of the race. He is the fastest car out there on lap number 2 for the first flying lap. And good news from race control is they haven't had to look at anything on lap 1 or lap 2. Those incidents, probably nothing much more than racing incidents. Maybe something more. As speaking of something more, Anderson, where did that come from? Anderson has taken the lead away. He was 0.4 of a second back when I last looked at the timing. How did he get a move done there?
Yeah, not quite sure. Just going back and looking myself, looks like O'Keefe's just not quite got the power down out of Big Bend, and unfortunately that's cost him dearly.
He's done it around the outside.
Yeah, he actually has done it around the outside and then had the inside for the following corner, so he's timed that very, very well and positioned that well as well to take the lead of the race.
Yep. Good move there from James Anderson, but there'll be no love lost between these two. Now we're going to stay on replay here. This is Mark Dial, and Mark has had an incident. I'm wondering if this has been all by himself or with another car, but he was in about 9th or 10th. He's now back to 13th position. Well, we'll see if we can pick up what has happened, and that's pretty much classic Sebring move, and then can't get the power down. Does a good job to not end up in the wall. So good end of that incident there for Mark Dial, but not how he would have wanted that to play out. There's the battle for third now. Have a look at this. This is O'Connor, Pluck, Vella, Harnell, Cox, Mazzomo and King, all within 3 seconds. That's 7 cars within 3 seconds.
Yeah, all very, very close, and all very much within a chance of possibly stealing a few spots and getting on the podium as well. So have to make sure, well, keep an eye on this battle and see who's going to be the one that's going to be coming away with the spoils come at the end of this race. But certainly you just can't discount any of these guys from possibly taking a podium finish here, or even a top 5 with how close it is.
Yeah, exactly right. You've got to see how this little bit will play out, and tyre conservation I think is starting to come in. Brett O'Keefe, last lap by, we know that he was passed for the lead, but that lap time, something's up. Something is not right with that car, whether he's had a slowdown through that second half of the lap that we missed, or something is not right with that car, but his pace is not there. Even on this lap, Sector 1, he lost 1 second to James Anderson. Sector 2, he lost 0.6 of a second.
Boy.
Second half of the lap, he started to come good. I think he's had an incident through turn 2, I'm guessing.
Yeah, not quite sure what's happened on this lap for O'Keefe, but I've just seen Anderson run a little bit wide on the way through the back end of the circuit. Very, very lucky to get away with that one as well, as he dropped it all 4 into the dirt and got a little bit crossed up, but in the end, not too much time lost, but O'Keefe has managed to close that gap down a little bit more, but still going on for 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th and that.
It looked a lot more controlled than what it would have been if you or I were in the car for sure, Cam, but you're right, that battle behind is getting very, very intense. As let's see, Pluck and O'Connor side by side. Pluck up the inside, O'Connor on the outside. Remember, these two are teammates, both racing as part of the KRF team. So the 15 and the 414 teammates out there on track. And also in the background, you can see a couple more of the KRF cars. You know, it's just seen in the pit lane, Henry King. Now, there's no mandatory pit stop from my understanding in this race. Is this a drive-through penalty? Is this a potential carryover penalty from race 1? No, he's actually... Oh, look, he's got damage on the side of the car.
Damage, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Quite sure. Oh, he's actually at the wall on the way through turn 1 on the previous lap.
Yeah, okay. So let's see if I can bring that up. See if this works as it should. Up the inside here comes Cox. Looking on O'Connor, and he might... No, not able to get it done. Just can't maintain the drive. Wheel spin, but Mizomo now looking to pounce and take that position away. Gavin Cox up 6 positions from where he started. But Matthew Pluck, currently in P3, he started back in 10th. That is a really, really big gain for him.
Yeah, very, very nice drive from the Kiwi Sim Racing driver at the moment. Is starting to build a little bit of a gap actually between himself and Vela. Vela just not quite able to keep up with Pluck at the moment. So we'll see what's going to happen between these few, and possibly could see Vela start to drop back behind the likes of Parnell and possibly even Connor as well.
Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Yeah, try and pick up the 52 car through turn 1. So this is up coming through Sunset Bend. The end lap number 3, and we'll start lap number 4, which is where he's had the incident. You can see at this point the car is perfectly clean. He was tucked in underneath the rear wing of the Zoma, so that was a big moment there for Harnell. He almost ended up in the wall. So let's see if we can pick this up from King.
I'm going to go ahead and say that was a little bit of a turn in there, and unfortunately that concrete wall has decided to bite Henry quite severely. Oh, as I've just seen Vela have a massive moment on the exit of turn 1 as well.
Well, this race is, we were thinking it might have been a little bit more subdued, but definitely is not. And have a look at the timing as well, Cam. Remember we last looked at the battle for the lead. It was around about 1.5 to 2 seconds. That's gone. It's now half a second.
Yeah,
so, don't know where that's come from as well, because looking at the sector times, there's been nothing in it. Henry King's going to set a purple lap on this lap, by the way, from last. So he's trying to get back out there, but this race is turning out a lot different to what I was expecting. I thought the drivers would have been a little bit more controlled and conserving tyres, but they're not conserving anything. They're going for positions as soon as they can get a small opportunity at them.
Certainly, no one's leaving anything off the table. Everybody's going in full as hard as they can to try and make up positions, especially those who started a little bit further back in the order as well, trying to recover some positions from that reverse grid. So we'll see if anybody else can try and move their way up the field. The likes of Gavin Cox in there, currently sitting P7 and 8. Is Cox and Mizomo, so we'll see what they can do, but certainly they'll be wanting to move forward a little bit more to try and get some decent points under their belt.
Also see what time Henry King can do on this first flying lap back out of the pits as well. Actually, I just noticed that it will not be a personal best because the first sector was a 1 minute something, but the rest of the lap was all purple. But I must say, the smoke signals that are being sent from all of the drivers, because it's the new smoke model that's been added to iRacing, it makes the lockup seem even more extreme. And these cars already had extreme looking lockups. They look right on scary right now.
Yeah, they certainly do, especially when you drive into somewhere like Sunset Bend where you've just got a wall of smoke when you're all the way down in 6th place. It's almost as though it's a disadvantage to be all the way back there because you're not able to actually see anything ahead of you.
Exactly. You almost need to, I don't know what you want. We were actually talking about the new smoke and dirt feature when we were preparing for the Cricket Boy shootout, and how the dust would just hover. It's just been sent a little message to the guys in race control asking what is happened from from turn 3, lap 1. So that incident between Harnell and Green that then turned into the incident between Green and Hender, and then Hender and Tregarthen. They are still reviewing that incident. So they are making sure they're 100% okay with whatever decision. They're undecided on whether it's a racing incident, because sometimes the more you look, the harder it is to give someone a penalty, or whether you go on to actually penalise someone. I'm in two minds. I don't know what is the right decision there. I'm glad I'm sitting on this side again. We've had a couple of easy calls for the race control to make tonight. That one there was not an easy thing to review and look over and try and decide what to give penalty-wise, if there is a penalty at all.
Yeah, there was almost more than one factor that kind of caused that calamity.
Like 5 different incidents in once, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Weird.
But hey, we're not the ones that race control, so we don't have stress.
Good luck, boys. Ben Christensen and Brett Loxton. So 2 very, very experienced drivers in the V8SCOPS series as we start lap number 8. We've got just on 10 laps to go, as that's a huge, huge dive from Gavin Cox into turn 1. Is he going to be able to pull it up? I think he is. And that is move done. Gavin Cox now up into 6th position. That's +6 from where he started. Sorry, +7 from where he started. And based on the pace that he's got at the moment, he could get himself up to Matthew Pluck in 3rd position by the end of this race. He's looking really strong. Basically has to pick off Harnell on the next lap, then get Vella on the following lap, which are within range. Then from there, he's, what, 3 seconds from where he is now to 3rd place. That is a true chance of happening, which would put him on for a potential round victory as well.
Certainly wouldn't be a good way to end the night off, that's for sure. So hopefully he can make his way on up the order a little bit more in these next few laps, and see whether he can end up challenging for the lead of this race.
Currently in 6th, started last lap in 7th, started in 13th. Race control have finally come through with a decision. No further action, racing incident. I think probably the right call. The longer they've looked at it, the longer it's taken them to make a call, the more likely that was always going to be the outcome.
Yeah, I think it's probably the right call either way to have, and that is Mark Dial having a little bit of a moment down the back end of the circuit.
I got a feeling he was helped there because, oh no, he was already off well and truly. Okay. So as we get the replay from here, he just had a little moment at Big Bend. And now there's a secondary incident here. So that car behind is Anthony Green. Has there been any help here, or is this just a pass by Green? And Dials just misjudged the corner. That is exactly what it is. And the grass at Sebring is not the easiest to get any grip on. In fact, it's impossible to get grip on.
It's quite bumpy in a few locations, and if you're not careful, you can find yourself with possibly a bit of damage as well on the car, as a result of there being some large bumps in that. So managing to get away with that one quite nicely, and with not too much time lost, but certainly something you don't want to be doing at all around this sort of place with ending up on the grass.
Also hearing that there will be a post-race points penalty incoming too, so I'm just confirming who that is for. So as soon as I hear who that is for, because Race Controller just reviewing that right at the second, just confirming which car it was as part of a separate incident lap 1, which I think we may have missed while we were watching the replay. Is that Mazzomo up the inside of O'Connor after he just lost that spot. So O'Connor coming back through the field. And O'Connor back up in the 7th position after getting that spot back on Mazzomo as we're halfway through this race. 8.5 gone, 8.5 to go.
Yeah, so still plenty of laps for drivers to get moves done, and still plenty of laps left for anything to possibly happen as well. So we'll see who can do what from here, and whether that podium is going to stay the same as well, with the likes of Matthew Pluck possibly starting to come under a little bit of pressure from the likes of Hanel and Cox.
Mazomo. About to say Mazomo may not have enough legs to get on by Tom O'Connor, but I'll take that back. Simon Valla will get a post-race penalty for an incident on lap 2, turn 1. Contact with Mark Dial. So that is the incident that race control were looking over the secondary part, which was exactly when we went to the replay. So we did miss that one, Cam, but Simon Valla currently in 4th. He will be able to battle for position because he won't have to drive through the lane, but he'll get a couple of points taken off his championship total at the end of this race.
Yeah, so going to be a little bit hurting their championship points wise, but better than probably a drive through at this stage, I think.
Yep, definitely. Drive through now basically puts you to second last. You've got nothing left. You get a drive through from this race, so sure he can hold on to those spots. Very, very crucial. Tom O'Connor currently P5. Sorry, P8. Started in P5. He is now trying to get this spot back from Simon Mazomo. Not able to do so at this stage. The front of the field has spread quite a lot. We saw when Anderson got through on O'Keefe, they were very, very close. It was sort of hovering between the half a second to 1.5 seconds. Well, that's now absolutely spread out a mile. Now out to 4, just gone 5 seconds now. So that is a fairly substantial margin. And on this lap again, it looks like pace-wise, O'Keefe just doesn't have it. I think setup-wise is starting to hurt the car of Brett O'Keefe because he's actually being caught by Matthew Pluck behind.
Yes, a little bit of an interesting revelation there, and the fact that O'Keefe seems to be lacking quite a bit of pace in that last lap or so. So probably a mistake going to have happened there, as O'Keefe was actually running the likes of 2-minute 2s and low 203s as well. He's done a 3.4 that time by, and Matthew Clark comes across the line to do a 3.5. So he's back to normal pace is O'Keefe, but he certainly won't going to be making mistakes, so he's costing himself a second.
Exactly right. So you see there, lap 7, lap 9, he lost 1.2 seconds. But as you said, he's back to the same pace. Now last lap by were virtually identical, but when you look at this little graphic I can put up on screen now, last lap by 203.4, leader doing 202.9s. That's just James Anderson flying away at the front of the field. Flying away at the front is not happening for Simon Mazomo. Mazomo. Can't even speak. Hello, Mez.
Currently having a lot of pressure from behind in the form of Tom O'Connor's trying to find a way on by. Look to the outside that time by through a Big Ben corner, but just couldn't quite get late enough on the brakes, couldn't quite hold around the outside, and at the end he's going to look to the inside though at the following corner, or is he not quite going to be able to get the job done there either? So he's sit behind Mez for a little bit longer.
And he probably won't be too happy about it, because what's happened if we just I can click the right button here, and I haven't, is that button there. You can have a look in the background. It's a 2-car battle. It's not 2-car anymore. It's 3.
Yeah, Corey Kitchen's slowly starting to claw that gap up quite a bit. Did a 203.4 last time by the Kitchen compared to the 204.2 from O'Connor and a 204.1 from Mazomo. So quite a bit of pace at the moment in Kitchen's car. And Gilbert's got some decent pace as well with the 203.9. So could possibly see this turn into a 4-car train. Sorry, at some point as Tom O'Connor goes very deep on the brakes on the way into Sunset Bend, and that's going to allow Kitchen to try and get the driver off the corner. He's not going to do that, getting sideways out of the final corner, but he's going to get in the draft down towards turn 1, but not going to be close enough to get a move done this time by at least.
Yeah, not for the moment, but Kitchen looks like the stronger of the two out of these two at the moment, and O'Connor looking very, very vulnerable. He doesn't look comfortable at all in the pace that he's got in that car at this stage. Actually, the tyre life probably more so than the pace. Remember I said before about Gavin Cox, once he got past Reese Harnell, he might have had a chance to get up to third? Well, might have to eat my words, because he's not able to close in that gap to Simon Vella for fourth position as quickly as I would have thought, but he's absolutely stormed away from Reese Harnell, and that battling group behind of Mazomo, O'Connor and Kitchen, they are now there. So it's now a true 4-car battle. This is for 6th position.
It really is, and it's a very, very intense one, which doesn't seem like it's going to be dissipating anytime soon at all. And anybody's guess as to who's going to be the one out in front of this little battle pack as well, with the fact that Harnell looks like he's starting to struggle a little bit with his tyres, so we'll have to keep an eye on that and see what's going to happen in these last 5 laps or so this time by.
Track temperature has just hit 30 degrees for the first time for this race day, so the tyres are definitely feeling it a little bit more than what they did previously. Race 1, highest the track temp got, I think it was 22 degrees, Cam, but this race a lot hotter. You see up the inside there, that is Harnell trying to break the draft, but at this point I don't think the draft is what he needs to worry about breaking. He needs to break the spirit of the guys behind with some good quality laps. I can't see that happening because he just doesn't look like he's got it at all. Sector times look horrible in comparison. This lap time across the line, 2:32, identical pace to Mazomo within 0.02 of a second. He's struggling.
He's starting to struggle by the looks of it with that rubber, especially as the sun's starting to get higher and higher into the sky, and that track's starting to get warmer and warmer as well. So he'll have to keep trying his best to try and hold on to these poor Dunlop tyres, which have been quite abused over the last 13 or so, 12 or so laps. So we'll see what's going to happen in these next laps or so, but certainly it's in favour of Mazomo to gain another position and move himself up into P6, as Cox is all over the tail of Vella at the moment and nearly had a move to the big bend.
Doesn't, just quickly on that graphic on screen, that's lap 10, lap 11, that's 3.5 seconds gained in 2 laps there as Harnell got it back. But yeah, you're right, Cox now right on the tail of Vella. As we said, the pace had dropped off. Gavin Cox has found something again. Second fastest car out on track. The only car faster than Gavin Cox at the moment is, no surprise, Henry King way back in the field. He's punching out qualifying laps. He's hoping that someone has a bad race and he can gain a couple of spots, but at the moment he's not able to gain anything after hitting the wall turn 1 on lap number 4. But Vella, Cox, this is a very, very intense fight, and based on pace that has come back to Gavin Cox, I might take back my thing that I took back before. He is still a chance of getting a P3.
There's a very much a possibility of that podium in his sights now with that pace that he's got, especially. So to see what happens is some John Courtney ending up off the road as with Brett Henderson. Something's going on between those two at Big Ben corner, but let's back to the front of the field. Vella's doing everything he can to try and keep Gavin Cox at bay, but Cox is trying his best to get on by Vella as well. 2:04.5 last time by for Simon Vella to a 2:03.3 for Gavin Cox, and then Matthew Pluck with being barely slower than Gavin Cox. So there's a little bit of pace differential between Vella and Cox at the moment, but not a lot between Cox and Pluck.
Yep, there's not much going on that way, but we're just noticing in the background, Mazomo looking to make a move here on Harnell. We knew that it was coming. I didn't think it was going to come on the outside of turn 2. But I tell you what, he somehow made it work, and then around goes Harnell. He's done that all on his own. He's trying to get the power on a little bit too much to try and defend that position from Mazomo. Mazomo gets another spot. He's up into P6 and will lead this group away. This has been some great fighting, and he did say that he thought he was going to come good based on his tyre life, but just absolutely talked him up, and he's lost the spot from absolutely burning the tyres up from exit of Big Bend. Gained the spot, lost the spot.
There was a little bit of contact between himself and Harnell in that little incident earlier at turn 3, so do maybe wonder if it's maybe cooked those rear tires a little bit too much, as
Potentially.
possibly even maybe done some minor damage to that left rear corner as well.
I haven't heard him swearing in the background yet, so not sure which way it is. I mean, if he starts swearing in the background, we still won't know whether it's one way or the other. We just know that he's not happy. But we already know that he won't be happy. Someone who will be happy right now, this man on screen, Gavin Cox, currently now P5. He wants another spot to get himself up 9 spots, get himself into position number 4. Not quite close enough, but I tell you what, turn 1, I think we're going to see a move here. Cox will be getting a little bit angry sitting behind, especially with the amount of smoke signals that are being thrown up. Gavin Cox has looked a lot more stable under brakes than what we've seen from Simon Vella.
He has looked very, very good on the way into the braking zones for a lot of these corners, but Mazomo under pressure from Tom O'Connor on the way into turn 1. Mazomo going to go back up the inside and take that position straight back off him. Well, keep his P6
For a little bit.
for the moment, but O'Connor's going to try up the inside at turn 2 and come to blows with each other. Mazomo's going to be forced off the road as a result. He's going to have a slowdown from that, and looking at that car, it could be possibly a little bit of damage as well on that left hand side. Doesn't look like it's left hand down or anything, so looks like he might have been all right, but he's going to be not too happy with that and possibly compromise in a straight line too.
Yeah, we'll have to see over the next little bit, so he won't be happy with how that's played out. Was defending that position quite hard down the front straight. Speaking of defending hard, Simon Vella's had to get the defense happening right now. I can just see race control off the corner of my eye. I'm getting a message coming in from race control, so I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I do know that it will be spicy. Because race control have actually been pretty on it tonight. I must say well done to them. They've may not have had the easiest running with making decisions, because the decisions they've had to make have not been easy, but the ones that they've made I think have been pretty good so far.
Made some reasonable calls and some correct calls as well. We haven't really any silly ones, but here we go. Gavin Cox is all over the back of him.
And we're just hearing to redress required from car of Tom O'Connor.
So Mazomo gonna be able to get at least 1 spot back. So doesn't help the fact that that car's now probably a little bit wounded as well.
Yep. Tom O'Connor will have to do it in a smart way where he doesn't lose a spot to Corey Kitchen while he lets Mazomo through. Not going to be the easiest thing to do, so let's try and pick it up in the background here. Of course, the other car they've got to worry about too is that car of Aaron Gilbert. So O'Connor's going to pull over to the side. He's going to put his foot on the brake. Kitchen's going to go through. Mazomo's going to go through. Is Gilbert going to go through, or O'Connor going to be able to slot in behind? I tell you what, he might have done a decent job here, or maybe not. I'll take that back. Through goes Aaron Gilbert up the inside. This is a nerve-wracking spot to be too wide in these cars, and they've all got back into the line. So Tom O'Connor redressing 1 spot has actually lost 3.
A little bit disappointed with himself to end up losing 2 for the prize. One is Tregarthen's had a moment there on the exit of turn 1, and you can see the skid marks as well. So looks like he's had a big tank slapper on the exit of turn 1.
This is an incident I know that I have done no less than 15 times at this circuit. You think you've nailed turn 1 for the first time in a long time. Get your foot on the power. Beautiful. I've nailed it. Oh no, I've got nothing left. Oh, I've got it, haven't got it. And around you go. So I feel your pain, Nathan. I have been there, and I'm sure pretty much everyone that is watching that has done laps in this car on this track has done that one as well.
And it's most painful if you're up quite a bit out of turn 1 as well on the Delta.
Yep. Because you thought you've nailed it, especially if you've had a few bad laps through that corner. You think, yes, I finally got it right. And it just goes bad. So, speaking of things potentially going bad, Mazomo looking like he might lose a spot here, and he will not be happy if he does. Got that spot redressed from O'Connor, but that allowed Corey Kitchen through. Kitchen's gone. He's out of this battle now, I would say, because he is flying. We get the white flag lap. A second ahead of Mazomo now to Gilbert. But Will we see any changes of position in these three? This is where the battle's out on track right now. Oh no! O'Connor! Hit the grass on the outside. That is race done for him. He will not be allowed to tow back to pit, so he's going to sit there and watch the end of the race, which means the last sector will be under caution. No overtaking in the last sector.
Barely touched it as well on the exit of the corner. He would have been okay if it was probably a foot closer to the fence, the grass, but unfortunately that's the case, and straight into the concrete barrier, unfortunately, and that car is toast.
Yep, sure is. That is race done. Here comes Gilbert looking up the inside of Mazomo, and they're going to go side by side. We've seen the outside work, but tell you what, that was some good driving from Gilbert there. He just forced Mazomo extra wide, and that meant that he wasn't able to get the spot. But we go forward up the field. James Anderson, redemption story. Finished last on the lead lap in race 1 after incident with Brett O'Keefe. Started on pole for race number 2, and at this rate, going to pick up the victory quite convincingly. Currently has an 8.5 second advantage. This is a real redemption story for him after what might have been in race 1.
It certainly could have been the situation in race 1, but he'll be pretty happy to come away with the race 2 victory and do it from pole as well, thanks to the reverse grid. But he's going to take the race win in race 2 and going to be very, very happy.
Oh no! We've seen it before in the V8. I've never seen it in a broadcast event, but Brett O'Keefe, is he going to get there? Is he going to get there? Oh, O'Keefe! O'Keefe has won the race at the line by 0.085 of a second. Matthew Pluck finishes in 3rd, Gavin Cox in 4th, Simon Valla in 5th. Wow. Yep. I don't know what to say.
I don't think there is anything to say.
I do not know what to say.
I think we need to send that to top 10 fails of the month.
I'm about to email Alex Horn right now because he needs to see this one.
Yeah.
He will love/hate seeing this as we're on board here with James Anderson. I talked him up for the win way too early in the lap. And just going to celebrate a little bit too much. I reckon he was distracted by that car sitting off on the pit wall. And Brett O'Keefe's eyes would have lit up like, what is going on here? Where do I go? And takes the win at the finish line. And I'm just looking at the timing. Is my timing correct in saying that there's been a post-race penalty for Anderson? Because he is... On my timing screen, it's showing that he's now P3. Get confirmation of results very soon, but no doubting who the race winner is now after that. Brett O'Keefe does the absolute Bradbury of all Bradburys. Picks up the win somehow. That's not going to end well, though, for his celebration lap. Wow. I'm lost for words. I'm not often lost for words, but I'm lost for words.
I think it's fair to say that both of us probably are at this stage, especially with the fact that he had it sealed and done, and all he needed to do was just drive it to the line.
So there is the race results in the end. Brett O'Keefe winning from James Anderson by 0.085 of a second. Matthew Pluck P3, Gavin Cox P4, Simon Valla in 5th position. Corey Kitchen held on from the charging Aaron Gilbert for 6th, with Gilbert in 7th. Mazomo in 8th, Parnell 9th. 10th goes to Anthony Green. Then we've got Tregarthen, Dial, Pender, Courtney, King, and Tom O'Connor does finish 2 laps down with that incident at the end of the race. But I don't know what I've just said. I really don't.
I think it's certainly the reaction for both of us, that's for sure.
I'm stumped. We'll hopefully get some drivers in for a chat in a couple of moments to try and debrief and work out exactly what's happened. But that was crazy. It was fun. And the next time we see these cars out on track, I don't remember. I'll press this other button. I'll try and find out. I can't remember what. I know we got the. I know the next round we have is the Porsches and the Legends at Interlagos, which is in 3 weeks' time. But V8s, I'm a bit forgetful on when we have the V8s back next.
Don't remember either, but it's at a racetrack that goes round and round circles.
Yep. I can't remember whether we go there next round or the round after is my question. So obviously next round is the Porsche Cup. There is also, just being told by Race Control, there is being a review of an incident on the final lap of the race as well. So positions are still not done, and we will see the V8s in the following round. That'll be round 5 of the overall V8SCOPS. That will be at Oran Park Raceway. It'll be another reverse sprint race, which will be pretty cool to watch as well. And the next time we see the trucks out on track, which we saw earlier, will be at the, I believe, Oran Park race as well.
There's certainly going to be a very, very good event, that one.
100% will be, and doesn't look like any drivers are wanting to come and have a chat to us, so we might wrap things up and say a big thank you to our friends at racingsims.co.nz for their help of getting the V8SCOPS support series up and running and supporting it in the background. Big thanks as always to Virtual Racing School for their support of us here at SimSpeed TV. If you want to catch the big event on the weekend, plenty of big events on the weekend. Of course, the iRacing Sebring 12-hour, as well as the Porsche Esports Super Cup, and on our side of the world, V8SCOPS Sunday night. Make sure you come and watch us here at Sebring for what will be an amazing night of action. But tomorrow morning, nice and early, we'll go and get a couple of hours sleep before we're back up and in the booth. The Dallara IRO1 from 7 AM Australian Eastern Standard Time, and from 9 AM VRS GT Sprint. One of the biggest strengths of fields of the week for VRS GT here at Sebring. Some great practice if you're racing in the 12-hour. So make sure you do get up nice and early, get yourself a race in, a sneaky GT3 race in before you get into the big event. And you'll see it on SimSpeed TV. Then on Sunday, as we said, we've got V8SCOPS. Also got iRacing Grand Prix Series. Cam, you're no longer a part of that. And I did miss you on the weekend doing that one. So a little bit strange not having you in the booth, but iGPS has been an incredible series as well.
It felt weird not having to get up at 8 AM or 9 AM on a Sunday morning, but nevertheless, it seems like it's still a very, very good series, and looking forward to seeing what's going to happen this weekend on SimSpeed TV. Yep,
so make sure you do tune in, subscribe to us on YouTube, and stay notified of what's going on. Also, make sure you do give us a little sneaky follow on Twitch as well. We are live on Twitch. Also live on Facebook as well, and over the weekend we'll be live on plenty of Facebook pages for V8SCOPS. Once again, big thanks to racingsims.co.uk for their support, and just had a confirmation from Race Control that there is nothing further to investigate from the race. So results are final now, and you can see because their screens have just frozen that the results are final because the session's ended. So we will wrap it up. So thank you for watching. Until next time we see you, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
No!